we are joined by All Family Pharmacy's Lars Larson, an expert in his own right. Sir, a pleasure to have you on the network as always. President Trump's push to make America healthy again is clearly gaining traction, especially with today's announcement cracking down on are these harmful additives in our food supply, whether it comes from Secretary Kennedy or Secretary Rollins. What does this signal for the future of the health of America?
I think that the government is watching out for the health of America, and I think that Trump is doing the right thing. I mean, frankly, I like to eat whatever I can eat that is the healthiest stuff I can. The problem is when you go out to the marketplace, oftentimes there will be people who offer things up that are very attractive to customers. We've seen it happen for years. And unfortunately, Americans have gained a lot of weight. For a long time, I was about 50 or 60 pounds heavier, and it didn't make any sense. I had to eat more healthy. Now, you can do that on your own. I don't necessarily believe that when you say, well, I'm just going to eat all natural. Well, what is natural these days? You know, what comes out of the field? Yeah. Depending on what they've done to it in the field before it ever got to your table. Yeah, there's a reason to be concerned about that. I'm even glad for this, even though I'm a type 2 diabetic, so I keep my sugar intake to a very low level. I'm glad to see them get Coca-Cola to change its formula and get rid of the fructose, what corn syrup basically is what they were flavoring the Coke with. I remember years ago, before I got type 2 diabetes, I used to go to a store where I knew I could buy what they called Mexican Coke, which was the Coke in the old-fashioned bottle that actually had cane sugar in it. A friend had told me to do that, and I tried it. I thought, this stuff tastes dramatically different than the stuff we usually buy. That's because the so-called Mexican Coke, because it was still bottled in Mexico, is why they called it that, was made with a cane sugar, and it tasted delicious, much better than the corn syrup variety. And now, I think, based on Trump's leadership, Coca-Cola has said, to heck with that 40 years of corn syrup. We're going to use actual cane sugar, and we'll make Coke better, too.
Well, an absolute brilliant move. Speaking of that, you can go down to the Coke Museum in Atlanta, Georgia, if you'd like, and try all the different varieties around the world. And the biggest thing I've noticed from tourists and friends who enjoyed that lovely city and that museum, the fact that they said, I didn't realize the ingredients are actually real in the international products of Coca-Cola because of different regulations. So what options do people have when they want to take control over their healthcare, whether it's simply the real cane sugar in Coca-Cola or even just the options to bring life-saving medication under cost control so that they can live out the pursuit of happiness as guaranteed in our founding documents?
Well, I got to tell you something. One of the things I've always believed in is the marketplace. And thankfully, All Family Pharmacy is doing exactly that. They're saying you need to get a hold of medications and the system is denying them to you. Fine. We work with doctors in all 50 states and those doctors write prescriptions. So this isn't any fly-by-night hocus-pocus operation on the internet. You talk to a doctor, you explain what the problem is, the doctor sees the need for a prescription, writes the prescription, and then they send the meds right to your door. Now, it's very simple because no insurance company's involved. There are times where I know people are glad to have insurance because they say, wow, this medication would have cost a lot. The problem is there are times I've walked into the pharmacy before All Family Pharmacy, and they said, oh, well, yeah, we don't carry that particular variety. I mean, to a large extent, pharmacies are forced to carry the stuff that is approved by government insurance. So Medicare and Medicaid will only cover certain things. And you'll say, well, that medication isn't off limits, is it? And they say, no, it's allowed. We just don't carry it because people are following the insurance company's directive. They buy what the insurance company tells them to. And I recall one time when my wife was told by her doctor, I want you to take this medication, but I want you to take the brand name. He said, it's a couple of dollars more. I went to the pharmacy and they said, we don't carry it. Well, why not? Well, because it's a couple of dollars more, the insurance, mostly government insurance, doesn't cover it. So therefore, why would we put it on the shelves of the pharmacy if we're not going to find the majority of our customers asking for it? So in that case, you're denied choice. You go to All Family Pharmacy and you get that choice because you talk to a real doctor. They talk about what problems you're having, what you're seeking, the medication for it, write the prescription, send the prescription to your front door. You bypass the local pharmacy that's run by a corporation that has to pay attention to what the insurance companies are covering. You pay the cost, and then if you want to submit it to insurance, you can do that as well. But I got to tell you something. It is such a simple system. It works so well. And the convenience, if nothing else. I mean, how many of you have had your doctor call in a prescription, the pharmacy, and the doctor will tell you, I've called it in the pharmacy, or my staff has. Then you go to the pharmacy and say, oh, yeah, we have that here, but we haven't filled it yet. Come back in 2 hours. And then you come back in 2 hours and they say, well, we got busy, so it's still not ready yet. You know what? I'd like to have it delivered right to my front door. I mean, it's fantastic. People are having food delivered to their front door, their groceries delivered. In this case, getting your medications on a regular scheduled basis, because I hear you talking about hydroxychloroquine, membezadol, and ivermectin. Those are familiar because they've been controversial drugs, but this is also your daily maintenance meds as well. So I take things like metformin and lisinopril. Those are going to be familiar to people who are type 2s or have mild hypertension, which is what I've got. You might not be surprised that, having dealt with Joe Biden for 4 years, that I would have mild high blood pressure, but it's true. But those daily maintenance meds can come from All Family Pharmacy as well. So I don't want people to think, well, that's what All Family Pharmacy is about, that it's NAD+, membezadol, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin. No, it's not just that. It's the regular routine stuff like oil changes. I mean, it's the stuff you have to get every month, and it becomes a big pain in the backside to deal with insurance companies and pharmacies. All Family Pharmacy can straighten that out for you.
Sounds exactly what Americans want, to get rid of all of the loopholes and simply get rid of the bureaucracy, the red tape, and actually know what's not only on their doorstep, but what's on their table. As a cancer survivor myself, Lars, it's important that I have a regular subscription to Synthroid specifically, and I've definitely been in those long lines on a daily medication I need because I don't have a thyroid as a result of it. So I know what it can be like when you're dealing with the big pharma. Are there other hacks you have health-wise in order to make sure that you're up and bright, ready to go to dominate in a career field that you've done so well at over the course of now years and years and decades, to bring the truth to the American people?
Try half a century.
I was going to go there, but I wanted to
when I tell
celebrate
people
with you.
50 years in radio, but that was this year, and say, oh, all that does is it means I'm old. No, but here's a hack for you, and it's one that we saw contradicted during the pandemic. Ever since I was a little kid, you would hear adults saying, the doctor told me or encouraged me to get a second opinion, sometimes even a third opinion. I've had personal friends as an adult who've said, well, I've got one problem or another. One friend had a glioblastoma, a brain cancer, and do you think she only went to one doctor? No, she got a second and a third opinion. That made sense. And then all of a sudden during the pandemic, we were told there is one answer, and one answer only. You will take it, follow the science. And an awful lot of Americans instinctively said, I know I did, said, hold on a second, you're telling me you're the be-all and end-all? I mean, we've had this problem for science going all the way back to when they used to make people drink hemlock if they didn't go with the current conventional wisdom you're saying that the sun does not orbit around the earth? You're saying the earth is not the center of the universe? Why, off with your head. Now, I'm tired of that kind of science, and I don't think it played any better back then than it does today when they say, it's the science, 6 feet apart, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and all the rest of that nonsense. So my hack is get other opinions and do some research on your own, and then go to your doctor and say, hey, I think I've found something that could address my problem. And if your doctor says, well, I've never read any of that stuff, and well, okay, then maybe you need to go to a second doctor and say, hey, doc, what's the problem here? And could this address it? And then talk to the folks at All Family Pharmacy.
I have a confession to make, Lars. I actually left my membership on the table of Rotary International, which is generally a great organization.
It is,
because
generally.
We have a situation where they were actually saying end polio with their mass, but we love having you on. Mr. Lars Larson of allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. We're up against a hard break. Caroline Levitt's right around the corner here. Look forward to having you again on the right side of history, sir.
Give Caroline my best.
Will do.